Hello, this is Rich Volz, Associate Director with the Illinois Association of School Administrators, and I'm making a podcast here today to remind members how we use the IASA social workplace and to also encourage members to use this IASA social workplace. We're going to go through the procedures on how to sign up for an IASA social workplace account, how to navigate the social workplace, the importance of the home button with the social workplace, how to make a community, how to join a community, how to send the social workplace messages to your phone via text, and how to set up a IASA social workplace community messages for a specific community to come to you on a daily basis as far as all the daily activity in that community that has occurred. So we're going to be doing all of those tasks today as we work with the IASA social workplace. So the first thing you need to do is get an IASA social workplace ID and password. Your ID will generally be your email address, and you'll have a password that later you can change to a particular password that you would like. If you do not have an IASA social workplace, please contact the IASA office, and our receptionist, Haley, will get you your own account so you can get started. Then after you're started with your own account, you will see on this opening page that there's a support icon here for you if you need some support. There's a password reset, and there's also a bookmarklet install page. We're going to go through the bookmarklet install information later on because that's an easy way for you to post information to a community. So after you've been on the IASA social workplace at least once, you might click this box that says remember me on this computer, and you would log in. And this is going to automatically log you in to the workplace. Now everybody's community screen is going to look different. There are some communities that everybody is going to be a member of. For example, this one right here that I have my cursor on, Dr. Volz's tweets. So those are the Twitter messages I put up on a daily basis. And let's just click into this right now to see what it looks like. Well, this is the messages that I put up on Twitter on a daily basis. So you don't have to go to Twitter to get these messages. You actually could go right here to Dr. Volz's tweets and get these messages on a regular basis. As well as you could send these tweets to your own email via a subscription, which is over here on the right-hand side. And if you subscribe to this, you would be able to get on a daily basis the tweets. So you could see I clicked on subscription, and up popped this box that's Dr. Volz's tweets. And you can email subscription. Your choices are none, email me everything as it occurs, or email me a daily digest. So for example, in this particular case, I have email me a daily digest clicked. So every day I would get, as you would if you sign up for this, all the messages that I put in for a particular day. So these are messages I would have posted yesterday, that Apple may unveil textbooks made for iPads, Wikipedia plans protest against anti-piracy proposals, a directory of apps for education by Apple distinguished educators, the first anniversary of the temporary increase in personal and corporal income taxes. There's an article on that. Budget, pension, top issues. And you notice as I'm scrolling through these up in the left-hand corner, I think this number in this little red box was 11 and it's down to 7, because as I read these, then each time I do, the number goes down. So let's say on this one, budget, pension, top issues for both parties. Let's say I wanted to read more about that. Well, what you can do is if you click on that, it's actually going to bring you to my Twitter account and my message that I put out. And then in this message, there'll be a hyperlink to the actual newspaper article that appeared on this particular topic. So on any of these messages, you could click on it and it's actually going to bring you to the actual message. Here's one, a YouTube video done by Jim Broadway tracking legislation. And I said it's a must-see for those wanting to know how to track legislation in Illinois. Matter of fact, there were several things in this video that I didn't even know until I watched it about the numbering of bills and how you can tell if the bill has been vetoed or not and what happens after the veto, etc. There's another video done about Carpentersville District 300's legislative journey on the Sears proposal to take property tax and not have it be taxed in their community, and what the citizens and the superintendent in that community did. So you can see there's lots of articles that I message about on a daily basis. And a lot of superintendents like to see these messages, but you don't really even have to go to the Twitter account. You really can go to this IASA social workplace and get this information. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to this home button, and I'm going to click on the home button. And that's a big key with this IASA social workplace. If you ever are at a point where you don't know what to do, just hit that home button and it brings you back to your main page. So everybody's going to have some of these icons, like Dr. Voltz's tweets would be one, job descriptions, legal, listserv, current topics, open text software support, school finance, salaries survey for superintendents. Okay, so some of these are going to come to you individually, but then some of the rest of these may not. For example, there's one up here for Egyptian region, and I have one down here for West Cook IASA group, Wabash Valley. Okay, those communities were actually set up by superintendents in those particular regions. And probably they have invited the members of their regions to that community, and it might be an open community that everybody can get to, but it may not. And for that particular case, you wouldn't even know, for example, that Egyptian has a community unless you were invited. But one way to find out about whether there are communities or not, there is a search button up here in the upper right-hand part of the IASA social workplace. And let's say I was wanting to do some information on iPads. Let's say I was thinking about using iPads. So if I type in iPad, this is just like a Google search. So I typed in iPad, and what's going to come up is what is in the IASA social workplace on iPads. So you have engaging staff development for iPads. This is a discussion done by Scott Cuffle. Goodbye Textbooks, Hello iPad was a post I put up. There's one here put up by David Scott, Lessons Learned with the iPad. iPad Academy, learn how to use the iPad tutorials. So you can see there's a lot of different information. A lot of it I've put up. Some others have put up. Here's Kathy Garrett from Auburn putting up a question about iPads, etc. So you can see that there's content here, and you can see that that's that content. But there's also people, and these are people who have mentioned iPads either in their post or information they put up. But then more importantly, you can see over here on the right-hand side, there are communities of iPads that have the word iPad in it. There's even a community that's iPads in education. I have mentioned iPads in my tweets. There's current topics. Support has talked about iPads. There's tip of the week, evaluations. You can see the Central Illinois Valley IASA regions talk about iPads. So there's a variety of things. So let's say you wanted to join this iPads in education group. Well, you would click on this iPads in education group, And you would find that you can subscribe to this community, and you also can join this community because this particular community is an open community that everybody can get to. So a lot of times I see members posting on the IASA social workplace that they want to join a particular community. Well, most communities you'll find are open, and you don't have to receive an invitation to join that community. You just need to put in whatever the keyword is for the community that you're thinking about or the topic you're going to think about up here in this right-hand corner, and then it will list the communities. Then you would click on the community you want, like in this case, I clicked on iPads and Education, and then in here you can see mine says invite a new member, but if you weren't a member of this, it would say, do you want to be a member? And you can click on that and become a member of that particular community. So, for example, I don't see that the Abe Lincoln division here has a community. So let's just see if the Abe Lincoln region has a community. So I'm going to type in Abe Lincoln, and sure enough, they do. They have a community, and it's called Abe Lincoln Region. So if I click on Abe Lincoln Community, I can join. See where it says join this community? Because again, this is going to be an open community. So if I click on join this community, see now I am a recent visitor and a member of this particular community. So that's how you join communities. So when you go to communities, you can see that that's how you will get around. And of course, the little red boxes with the numbers in it will tell me in these particular communities there are posts that have happened to that community since the last time I was in. So for example, let's say this evaluations committee. If I click on that, you're going to see that there's 9 posts that have been made to this community. So what I could do is I could read through this. Don White has put up some principal evaluation documents. By the way, those are very good. Brett O'Daniel has made asked a question of Don. Don got back on and answered that question. Here's a evaluation for a lunch manager. Here's Don's Troy principal evaluation documents. He's put all those documents up on the web. And by the way, if I go to documents, you're going to see that here are all the documents that have been loaded in behind this particular community. You can see you have administrative evaluation, athletic director, bus driver, coach, principal evaluation, superintendent evaluation, and so forth. And then I can go back and feed, and I can continue. Like here is Dan Oakley saying, I want to join this community. Again, this would be an open community, so all Dan would have to do is get to this community, and where it said join this community is one of the action buttons here before I joined it. You could join that community, and then you'd be in. Here's another one where Edwin Shoemate said the same thing. Again, you can just join this community. And if you, again, don't know where you are, you just go back to your home button, and you would have your home. Now, another thing you can do is this is called the Pulse. And not many members are using this, but I'm going to go to myself. And I probably use this more than others. And one of the things that I'm doing with this is I am posting some of the information I tweet about or I find interesting, I put up here. And this is my own web page. So you could web page within this social community. So you can see I have my picture here and I have some of my information in there, which you should do. And then you could make posts. So for example, just telling people what you're working on right now or what information you want to have out. So one of the things that all of a sudden I'm starting to get involved with is making presentations to teachers about the Danielson framework. For example, I just got done doing a 2-hour presentation to all the Collinsville teachers about the Danielson frameworks. So if people want to have me come talk to their teachers to start explaining what the Danielson frameworks is, I put in my post about what I'm doing that you can contact me. And then just in my regular blog, this is just information either I've copied or I write about. There are a variety of information that I put into this particular blog. And you could go to anybody's name and see what they're doing for the same thing. So let's go, for example, then these are people following me. But let's just go here to Brad Cox. And let's see what Brad Cox's information is about. Well, he's not, here's an example. Brad hasn't added any entries. He did do one post. He said, insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, a quote by Einstein. And then here is Brad's particular information. So let's go to Kurt Nettle, see what he might have up there. Okay, Kurt, again, is just put in currently preparing for pre-bed meeting for summer projects, but he hasn't done anything since January 24th of 2011. So you can see that not many people are necessarily putting this information in. So let's go to Brad Hutchison now. Brad is putting some information in. Again, it's kind of old, January 24th, 2011, and he's talking about a special school board meeting, a blog entry he's done that he puts up on his website. And again, I'm going to hit the home button. I go back to home and see what other information is here. So let's take the iPads in education community again. And let's say I wanted this information to go to my phone as soon as information is up on it. Matter of fact, I'm going to pick another one. I'm going to pick this listserv, current topics, because that's kind of like the IASA listserv that we have. So you can see we have Matt Seaton, Tom Berg, and different people, Don Russert, Matt Seaton, putting information, Matt Steins, up here on this website. Well, let's say I wanted this listserv current topics, which like we do right now with the IASA listserv, which may be ending soon. So instead of using the IASA listserv, members would just use this community to put down their current topics. And what's the good thing about this is, like in the listserv, if somebody was doing a salary survey, you know, once they do it, you can never go back and find that information again. Well, if we put it in this listserv, well, you would always be able to go back and get whatever documents were uploaded. So in this particular listserv, current topics, I can again hit on subscription and I can say email me everything. So every time somebody makes a listserv topic, I can email that to myself, and that would be the exact same way that the listserv today works. So some people have been worried that if we go to the IASA listserv as our only means, or get away from the IASA listserv and go to the IASA social community as our only means of dispensing information, that it won't be the same. But you can see by the way I did this that in fact it is the same information you have received via the social workplace. Okay, another thing I'm going to show you is how to use this this bookmarklet, this open text bookmarklet. So I'm going to go to my my email here and see if we can't find an article that we could take and put up on this using the bookmarklet. So here's an article on why students do not benefit from unearned praise. So let's say I click on that article and I actually go to that article on the internet. And this is something that was in the Washington Post. And this is an article, after it loads up here, that I'm going to want to put on my blog site on the IASA Social Workplace, or maybe I'm going to want to put it in a community for student discipline or whatever. So what I have here is an article, and what I'm going to do is just highlight maybe the title of this article and then maybe the first paragraph or a couple paragraphs of this article. You can see I've highlighted all of that. Okay, if I'm also in open text, in other words, it's open in the background, after I have downloaded this program, Open Text Bookmarklet, and I have put it in my bookmarks here on my computer, if I click on this, you can see what happens is it pops up this box. And in this box, I can make this article go to my blog or any of the other communities that I belong to for IASA. So let's say I want this to go to my blog. And if I hit that, I say share. Now what's going to happen is this article actually is going to go into my IASA blog. So if I go back to home and I go to my name, we'll see that that article we just did, see it here? In school, self-esteem boosting is losing favor to rigor. That article has actually gone into there. And I could have even added the picture that was in there as well, and it could have been in here. But you can see that it's the beginning of the article, the part that I highlighted is in here, and then as well as you can get more information on the article here or going up to this hyperlink and actually getting to the actual newspaper article itself. So that's how you would get articles quickly up on the open text social workplace. So in summary, if you need to sign up for an account, please contact Haley at our office. I've showed you how to navigate this social workplace. Remember the home button. You can always go back home. I've taught you how to make a community, how to join a community. By the way, if you want to make or join a community, right here on our homepage here, see where it says new here? If I click on new, I can make a new community. So I can give this community a name, and then I can tell it to be private, secret, public, or public read only. And you would make that determination yourself, and then you would have a community. Or I could discover communities. So discover communities, when I hit that, it'll just throw up a bunch of communities that have been made in the recent time period, and I could click on any of those if I wanted to get into any of these communities. And again, you can go back to the home page. So remember this Discover a New button right here on your home page. That's the way how to discover and join new communities or start new communities. And I've showed you how you can take this IASA social workplace messages, and they can go to your phone via email, like on that IASA listserv as soon as the message is made, or you can do it on a daily basis, as I showed you to do that using the Dr. Volt's tweets as an example. And I've also showed you how you could go use the bookmarklet. You could go to the internet, find an article. If you wanted to post that in your blog or in a community, you can do that. And in all of these communities, there's just lots of information behind it. So, for example, if I go down here to the salary survey for superintendents, see how I have a whole bunch of people wanting to join this community. Remember, they don't have to ask to join. They just have to go under actions here and join this community. But let's go under documents here. Well, in this particular community, there aren't any documents yet. So somebody has set up this community, but really it hasn't had any information. So let's find some that might have some more information. Well, I know this job descriptions one, for example. It has lots of communities. For example, here's a superintendent, Bob Lupo, wanting to know about job description for a health teacher, early childhood job description. Here's people wanting to join this community, problems opening job descriptions. But if you hit this Documents tab, you can see there are a whole bunch of job descriptions that are in here. And whatever job description you wanted, you would just double click. For example, let's say if you were wanting it as maintenance director, you would just double click on that, and that job description would that come up for you. Another community you might want to look at on a kind of a regular basis is this tip of the week. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but we were having some trouble with people learning how to download documents, so there's a tip of the week about that. But this weekly tip, you could go back through these tips and find out a bunch of really good information that you could use for learning more about, for example, how to do a bookmarklet. And by the way, you can use your iPhone, iPad, your Google-based Android phone to have an app on those devices as well to get into your open text social workplace. You wouldn't necessarily have to go to the internet to be able to do that. So that's a bunch of information about our IASA social workplace. I hope you have found this podcast helpful, and I hope we can get more members participating in this professional learning community for school superintendents that we are wanting you to do with IASA. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at rvolts@iasa.edu. edu.org or call me at 217-741-0466.